Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from the break. Women in Business, this is Kem Chadorin, and we're still here with Professor Robina Nanyuja. But before we get into this, special thanks go out to Kampala Serena Hotel for this amazing space. Please contact them for quality conferencing, dining, and all the other nitty-gritties that go with a beautiful space like this. Professor, the 95%, I'm still hinged on that. We have to talk about this. We really have to talk about this, Professor. Preparedness of the Ugandan woman to seize those global opportunities. This is a very painful, frustrating as well. I'm very sure we've had so many investors call you up and contact you. Give us this, don't you have this? And it's so frustrating because you would want to connect the Ugandan woman, but she's not prepared. In regards to attitudes and those nitty-gritty pettiness that you talked about within the first half, what is that annoying trait you have seen among the Ugandan women that you wish they would get rid of and seize these opportunities, especially in regards to attitudes? I'm very sure they are there. Yes.
Exactly. I mean, giving excuses, I think.
Yes, yes.
You know, and how, these are simple things, but they impact a lot on our progress, on what we do. Giving excuses, how? Can you imagine that even the Kampala setting, I mean like in the urban settings of Uganda, where everyone should know that people should make a living, like people should go to work, whether you're a woman or man, and make a living and contribute to your life or the life of the family. That even in such settings, there are women who are still giving excuses that, my husband refused me from working.
Yes.
And these are actually educated women,
yes.
some of them. Maybe diploma holders, degree holders, and beyond. Which other excuse? I gave birth. I gave birth. Yes. I am a Nakawere, so I think I have to maybe give it 3 months. 3 months come. 1 year, maybe when the child is 5 years. You might call them petty, but really they do impact a lot.
At the end of the day, the investor is going to want basically their returns.
Of course.
Investments.
The world, there are people who don't sleep, or who sleep when it is actually necessary. But also another excuse, like, I mean, even me here, I have outsourced services to my people, service providers. Let's say sometimes you even pay in advance. I wouldn't take it to only women, but I'll say people, and someone doesn't deliver, tells you excuses, power was off, revenue, whatever. I had gone to attend a burial. You are telling me burial when I need a service, I paid. Yes, I also lose people, but this is not the time to tell me such. So excuses, if you can expound on that, if people would just stop giving excuses and do whatever it takes to deliver, even for a small thing, this society would be different. Another excuse that really I don't like to hear about, this corona thing. Do you know that during corona, yes, maybe people would not physically work, but do you know that some people really worked?
Yes.
And they made massive progress.
Yes, yes.
They saved massive amounts of money. They finished even maybe mortgages and established buildings and whatever.
I've actually had guests here that tell us, women that tell us that their businesses actually flourished during that time.
So that is also an excuse. And guess what? Anyone you talk to, what? Corona came. This one crashed. Since then, we've never gotten back. You don't want to know. As for me, I don't want excuses. I don't deal with people who deliver excuses. Yes, somehow maybe I've lost money where I paid for services and I haven't gotten what I had anticipated, but if I notice that you are that kind of person, you don't deliver, but you hang on excuses, I have to terminate the relationship and then go on.
Yeah.
And that is also what we talk about. To succeed in this, you should be able to produce that service or good for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Without excuses.
Yes.
People die, people fall sick, people whatever, deliver in labor wars and whatever. So if you are the kind of person you deliver today, someone who pays you the money and you're not able to deliver, do you think you're going to go far in that?
No,
or you're going to settle for the pettiness I've been talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to venture into another business line where they don't know you, and then also after failing to deliver,
and then they also
going to close.
They also leave you.
So I don't know even how to express that. But to me, I use the word excuses, but it goes, of course, beyond that.
It's interesting that you actually mentioned that some of these excuses also get into, for example, the way the woman is conditioned. This is a hugely patriarchal society. Uganda still is traditionally still inclined. Yes, there are trends. Yes, it is, moving on towards urbanization and all that and modernization, but it's still heavily patriarchal. That means most of the resources are still male-dominated, and in most cases, you still get to find a number of women that are still actually receiving predominant capital financing from their husbands. And because we know that these things are happening, and maybe the relationships are not, especially when it's business, is not really being put outside fronted, and the business is not really being legalized, you find out that in the end, they are failing to balance the home and the business. So what you are saying is you don't want to know these things. You don't want to know these details, but also which have been linked to an increase in GBV among women in business. Yes? You don't want to know.
No, I want to tell the truth.
Yes.
Because if you're saying you're looking at your... the women will even hate me, but it's okay.
True. No.
If you're saying
let's be honest.
That the husband is going to give you capital, whatever, who gave the husband this capital? Who gave your husband, really, capital to start?
Yeah.
So women always playing this victim thing,
yes.
Playing victim that I should be given, I should. But who are you?
Yes.
What can you do?
giving you every time.
What can you do? But of course, being given is good, but it can sometimes it doesn't happen all the time. But also, someone gives you just a token.
Yeah.
Are you going to settle for that? Really? Or why don't you self-develop? Man, woman up or man up, and then do something from your own passion, from your own capacity, abilities, and make an impact. Also, be useful.
Yes.
Hey, inspire children.
Okay. We don't negate that, but you see, it's not a homogeneous, society. Neither is it really just uniform and all, cut across. That is why you see the majority of Uganda's population is in the rural setting. I will believe that there are opportunities, even on Women Entrepreneurship Forum, that basically are looking at the woman that is already empowered, able to access 100 million from the bank, or 50 million, or even 20, yes, and start off something that is very organized and start off and deliver on point. But then I also know that the farmer who, for example, is producing these mangoes, these Hass avocados, is also supplying to the exporter, the Ugandan middleman, who gets to export. So whether you want it or not, you will still have to deal with the other rural woman who is still subject to all these different societal conditionings of, yes, the man has said, today we are planting the mangoes, tomorrow I don't want you putting in even a little bit of onions. So in order to make sure that both segments, the empowered woman and this grassroots woman who is supplying, who is part of that chain, the export chain, are all being enabled in tandem, don't you think that at least we should not be able to ignore this side?
No one is actually ignoring. Even whom you call unempowered or marginalized, I wish that woman could be listening now.
Yes.
And who has marginalized them? That's why I say that
herself?
women will hate him.
Yes.
Who has marginalized them? I mean, why don't they, okay, they say, okay, we are submissive to men. Why don't they become big-headed, for example? Yes.
She loses her home, gets beaten.
Why does she have to be submissive and obedient in even things that, because I believe marriage is a partnership.
Yes.
It's not that I'm helping you
Yeah.
or
you're also bringing something to the
helping
table.
me. So if it is that, then this thing of saying that I'm submissive or I have to take your orders, whether good and bad, it will come up. So even those the women that feel they are marginalized, and I hope they would listen to this for sure.
But what you're trying to say is that yes, they are part of this
problem.
They are part
They are
of the
facing.
problem.
Yes, absolutely.
So in your shoes, in her shoes, right? That woman right there in let me not even pinpoint a district, but in northern Uganda, let's go with that region because there's been quite a lot of gender-based violence up in the north. So let us assume that you are in the shoes of that woman. She has come in, left, by the way, her own home and gone. The man is in control of all the land, but she is, the man said, yes, we can put these avocados together. They have put the crops, they has avocados, they are planning to give this other, the buyer who is an exporter. And then the man says, you're not part of this system anymore. So how does she start? You are in her shoes. Just give us a detailed one-on-one. How would she not be part of that victimization?
Maybe I wouldn't be fully in her shoes.
Yes.
I wanted to be fully in her shoes. Exactly. That's why I'm also advocating for capacitation. If women know their rights, like those rural women, or whom you say that they are marginalized, they are knowledgeable and they know their self-worth. They wouldn't allow really manipulation or whatever. So somewhere, somehow, I don't know who is supposed to change that overnight, but me, I have to blame those that are listening in or that are being exposed a little bit to have allowed that to happen to them. What I'm saying, they should resist it. Yeah. Resist it. Any mistreatment, any injustice done to them, whether from even if it is your father or mother and is doing injustice. Now what about this husband guy? What is special with him to deserve violating you and then you submit? So yes. Basically I have to advocate for strengthening of women, whether by who or even themselves. That is what will save, because nobody will take advantage of as Baganda say, omuntu eyetegerera. They fear such a person. Even yes. these men who are violating. That's why they capitalize on underage, the elderly, those women that feel they are not worth it. They victimize on those. Yes. Why do they victimize on those? Because they fear these other ones. So how do we support these vulnerable ones? How do we strengthen them? How do we mentor them? How do we build confidence in them? That yes, you can stand on your own. Even when you're married, by the way, does not mean that marriage is a prison or even a death sentence. No, it is, it should be an enjoyable institution, partnership to live with. Yes. Yeah.
You've had, let me, I guess, also get back a little bit. You've had a number of investors approach you as part of the forum, as president of the Women Entrepreneurship Forum, seeking for investment, especially in mining. Back to the woman in Kapchorwa, who has that particular land that was, given to her by her father, her late father, has that gold on that land. The investor, from the ethos of how you are presenting this, the investor definitely who is coming in from Netherlands or these areas is not interested in wanting to know how your background and the GBV and everything that you are undergoing. He wants the gold delivered so that he can be able to make a profit and also give you your cut. That is basically business as it is being fronted.
Business as usual.
Even we're not even talking about gender responsive programming. We're not talking about all these particular aspects. We are looking at skimming the upper part of it all. So to that woman who is already set, has the gold in her land, and yes, is an artisan like you have been mentioning, how does she get rid of this pettiness? Yes, looking at the small 1 million per week, yes, and she thinks putting it in her bag is so much. Others are talking about 100 million deals, yes? That woman, what is the very first thing? Because I know that these investors are actually fronting this opportunity. What should that woman in Kapchora set herself immediately to do as of today?
Exactly. So I'll share some, maybe some examples of the programs that have been that have passed via my hands.
Yes.
For example, there are those kind of investors, and they want, as I say, the investors are different from buyers. They want to invest into capacity development.
Yeah.
They want to invest into like a factory, value addition on the site. Of course, they want also to invest into, it comes with knowledge building and whatever. It's a chain.
Yeah.
There are those ones. But I'll say maybe there are not very many. This will take me to tell you that as a country or even as individuals, no one is going to do things the way you want.
What do you mean?
People come in, they have their own aspirations.
Yes.
And you cannot engage them in this and that. So who does the other bit? That's why I say the governments, institutions, local institutions in Uganda,
Yeah.
to own their responsibilities.
To regulate.
To back up, to work out that other framework, to capacity, to polish up. To polish up things, so that for me, if I'm a buyer or an investor,
Focus
on this,
side.
on the business side, and the business is business as usual.
Yes.
However, when I find all these other factors into play with a conducive environment of citizens, of course it is an enabling aspect to business.
Yeah.
And it encourages business. So much as we are talking about private sector driving and entrepreneurship, government and other institutions, they still have maybe NGOs. They have a role to play to prepare the citizens, to polish up these areas and to streamline structures, to make life easier for business or for really development.
For any investor coming
for
in.
any development initiative.
Let's talk about the dark side of the investor, quote unquote, the dark side. Because, of course, we've had different documentaries going globally recognized, blood diamonds of here, the crisis in, in our neighboring countries there, and how these minerals are being taken, by people who are not, they're taken literally, and one called it even a raping of the motherland, because what is taken does not benefit, it doesn't, in this context, does not benefit the women, does not benefit the Ugandan, and things like that. So that particular dark side, even as they talk about, and this is where the investor has actually been implicated, especially within Karamoja. Yes, we know there are gaps that have been highlighted within our governing bodies here, as in why is this continuously happening year in, year out, especially within the mining sector. But we also want to know, how do you proof yourself against the investor that is coming in with ulterior motives? Or to the forum, it is all about bring business. Because there are those ones who come in, of course, right now there's quite a lot of stuff. There's humanities in context. How are you treating the people? Is everything going okay in accordance to all the other globally recognized conventions and all this? So how, even for every investor that comes in, how are you taking this? How are you keen on these things?
Of course, for example, what you mentioned, these ones that take advantage of hostile communities, wars on areas, and then they come in there. I wouldn't call those investors. I think those are looters, you know, those are thieves, and really they are taking advantage of the circumstances. Sometimes even they finance that war. Some not all of them, but some finance the war so that there is chaos, disorder, and then they can take advantage of looting when citizens are running up and down for their lives, when governments are maybe focused on eliminating the war, stopping the war. So I wouldn't say those are investors. I think really you know, solid investors, they take advantage of the modalities, and also they would be interested to invest in a community with peace, where peace is. No genuine investor would want to put their money where there is chaos, because the first thing, they will lose their money. Maybe they won't be there also. So you have also to be careful on who you call investor. Differentiate looters from really investors. Investors want peace. They want their programs to be sustained for a very long time. You know, grace period, what and what. Some of them are like 10 years period. But when there is a war, such genuine investors wouldn't venture there. What you would see are looters and those people taking advantage of the citizens, even raping women, children, killings, and that kind of thing. But basically, peace is a very, very key prerequisite for socio-economic development, be it external investment or be it internal among the citizens. Peace and stability is very, very important. It's not everything, of course. Mindset and whatever investments, capacitation has to be on board as well. But it's also a very fundamental aspect.
Pre-COVID, that's true. Pre-COVID, a number of countries were notably highlighted as those with the fastest growing economies. You know, amongst them was, you know, Ethiopia, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda. But what stood out, especially in countries such as Rwanda and Ethiopia, is that I believe they have very great bargaining. Not only just looking at the investment, as in the investor who is approaching us and coming, how is the country going to benefit the most? Yes, how is it going to benefit, get a fair share of this? And I believe the same ethos is being taken over when the president talks about, you know, let the oil and gas, you know, all these different monies trickle down to the grassroots person. Well, what is your take so far on Uganda's ability to actually accommodate and maybe also be able to negotiate and bargain for better deals? Do you think that is happening?
Of course, everyone has ability. Uganda has ability to negotiate the best also for its citizens, and also make sure that it happens. But I would say that maybe currently things are not yet clear. Things are not yet clear because I see, not even being told, you read, I see a couple of really investors, especially those that are coming to establish here permanently. When they come, some of them have their workers. Their citizens, from their own countries, they have their workers.
The Chinese have been, you know, highlighted in that for quite a while. Let's not even, because it's out there. Everyone knows that the Chinese.
Exactly. So when they have their workers here, also maybe the petty jobs within their framework, their business structure, the petty jobs are those ones, they are the ones that are given to Ugandans.
Yeah.
So under such scenario, I would imagine that the government, okay, the government say will to protect its citizens, but how is it doing that? And who is doing that? And who is monitoring? So it's really very, very painful, and over time, when people come in, and then the locals somehow they feel they are displaced, they are not having an equal share.
Yes.
They are not benefiting from something that has been established on their land. You know, people are very passionate about, actually people are very patriotic. Even this thing of teaching patriotism, you don't teach. People always cherish where they came from, who gave birth to them, where they grew up from. So if someone really comes,
but they are teaching patriotism. They are teaching, because people now are growing up quite a lot on all these movies and what, and so they want to be more of the West than actually the Ugandan, the real Ugandan. So it is back.
Yeah, yes. Well, if they are teaching patriotism, well and good, it's a supplementation. But yes, structures have to be put in place, and also monitoring to see that the citizens in some countries, to establish a business there, yes, they welcome you, but there have to be stringent measures to see that the people, the citizens are protected. Actually, they are able to get also high jobs from your enterprise. Revenue is collected and actually stays in the country, most of it, if not all of it. But here, I don't know, maybe the money going out might not be that monitored, but coming in, and should that be the reason, the trend? Because I would imagine that you have to protect the income. Money coming in is income. Then when it is shipped out by these foreign companies, because there is no proper monitoring, then you are shipping out money. You are spending outside. So how can we have a balance of this? How do we protect our citizens? The government, I think, is the institution that can really do that.
And I think the government is making strides in that, especially in the oil and gas sector. There's been quite a lot of employment. But even as we wrap up, Professor, this has been an interesting conversation. We can't seem to get enough of it because there's quite a lot. I just want you to stress, please, just take a look at that woman out there. Given the knowledge and the opportunities that we have been talking about right now, please stress in just a few minutes, 1 minute, so that she can know where to start from and how to present herself to seize these opportunities. In just a minute, please.
Thank you so much for that opportunity. Yes, my message for women is really to rely on themselves, believe in themselves, and that they are able to do more amazing things with determination and focusedness, of course, and always looking up for opportunities, networks, programs to enhance people, good people, to add on their value. Of course, financial opportunities where an opportunity exists, and working hard above all, as well as saving and having their own assets. Yes, they could have joint assets, but also having their own assets as women. It's pretty important.
We have many lessons picked up and learned from this. Thank you so much, Professor Robina. It's been quite a delight, and we'll definitely have you back, hopefully, very soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Special thanks get out to Kampala Serena Hotel for giving us this amazing space. Please contact them for all the quality accommodation, conferencing, and even just a relaxing moment. This has been Doreen Kemcha. We've been talking about preparedness of the Ugandan woman to seize the opportunities on a global scene. Women in Business, Smart 24 TV. Please pick a lesson, learn from it, and see you next time. Bye-bye.